Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's super busy Friday morning here, and I'm glad that you've chosen us to help you through it. As we wind up this week and charge you into the weekend, it's O'Connor and Company. Coming up in 30 minutes, Tim Graham, NewsBusters Media Research Center, on Greg Gutfeld's triumphant appearance on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show last night. At 7:05, we'll speak with Kevin Diaratna from Heritage about the EPA CO2 decisions. 7:35 brings us the great one, Mark Levin. He's got a book signing tomorrow at Barnes & Noble in Reston Town Center. And then at 8:35, Janine Lawson on the victory for citizens of Prince William County over that digital gateway data center. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good happy Friday, Larry.
And right back at you. All right, yesterday, we want to give you updates. We told you that as the story unfolds over the really greatest political scandal of our time, and no, it's not the Obama administration's use of the intelligence community to attack and undermine the incoming President Donald Trump, which is also a huge scandal. But no, I still think the cover-up of the lack of cognitive and physical and mental abilities of the President of the United States for 4 years under Joe Biden is even bigger than that. And the House Oversight Committee continues to conduct interviews behind closed doors. A lot of the people surrounding President Biden have taken the fifth, which is interesting. When a doctor is asked a question about, were you ever told a lie about the president's health, and he takes the fifth, one wonders what the concern here is about telling the truth. It's certainly not doctor-patient privilege. There's something else going on there. Well, longtime D.C. political operative Anita Dunn, who was, I want to remind you, never officially an employee of the federal government. She was always on a temporary status, just like Elon Musk just performed a duty for the federal government. He didn't have to quit his job. He didn't have to divest from any of his business dealings. Elon Musk did a temporary job heading up Doge, and then he left. Anita Dunn had a revolving door for 4 years. She continued her partnership with K Street law firms, lobbying firms, clients, influence peddling, the stuff D.C. is made on. But at the same time, she could show up at work and then say, okay, I'm going to the Oval Office now, and then she would advise the President of the United States seamlessly without anybody raising any questions. And if you want to remember who Anita Dunn is, let's not forget, during the Obama administration, she was like the communications director. She had to leave because this video of her was uncovered.
And then the third lesson and tip actually come from two of my favorite political philosophers, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa.
That's right. Mao Zedong is one of her favorite political philosophers. And of Mao Zedong and his bloody, murderous revolution, here's how she portrayed it.
In 1947, when Mao Zedong was being challenged within his own party on his plan to basically take China over, Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalist Chinese held the cities. They had the army. They had the Air Force. They had everything on their side. And people said, how can you win? How can you do this? How can you do this? Against all of the odds against you. And Mao Zedong said, you fight your war and I'll fight mine.
Yeah, Mao Zedong was the good guy, everybody. He's heroic. He's somebody to look up to. That's Anita Dunn. Oh, and let's not forget this. In a recent podcast interview, this is what Hunter Biden said about Anita Dunn.
The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40-50 million off the Democratic Party.
That no one's wondering, hey, how did you make $40 or $50 million off of the Democratic Party? Good questions all. So Anita Dunn appeared yesterday behind closed doors. We don't know what she said. She did leak her statement to the media, and there's some good juicy bits in there. But here's my favorite part of the story, frankly, Patrice. When Anita Dunn showed up for her testimony, this is what it sounded. In the hallways of Congress, and by the way, the House is not in session right now, so it's not like there's a whole lot going on, right? There's usually a gaggle of reporters on Capitol Hill trying to fight each other for the latest story. Well, here's what it sounded like as she was peppered with questions on her way into the hearing room.
Were you against doing a cognitive test for President Biden? Were you afraid of sharing any of the results from a cognitive test? Would you have supported a cognitive test if the doctor would have approved of it? Anita Dunn on.
Yeah, that's one reporter. In fact,
exactly.
That's the only reporter. One reporter showed up. Aisha Hasni of Fox News. She was the only one there. Remember how Jake Tapper talked about how, we missed the story. It's our fault,
They're
I
still
guess. The
missing
media really missed this one. Well, the story's still going on, guys. And
They're
they're
intentionally
one reporter.
missing it. And kudos to Aisha Hasni, because she's been there for every one of these witnesses, trying to get the scoop and trying to get the story. And you at first you saw a few reporters, now it's just her. But I mean, I think it's just interesting. Anita Dunn, I see CNN covered it. CNN just took her press release and turned it into a 5-paragraph story that says absolutely nothing.
That's
it. That's all CNN
her press
is saying.
release. They reprinted her press release, and that was it.
Exactly. I don't see it on the Washington Post. I don't see it on New York Times. If anything, I guess it's buried somewhere deep in the annals of their pages. I mean, it's shameful at this point.
Well, and by some reports, she's the person who controlled the auto pen, or one of the people who controlled the auto pen. And I want to reiterate, she was not an employee of the federal government. She was accountable to no one except Joe Biden or maybe Jill Biden. And as Hunter Biden just said, she's made $40 or $50 million from the Democratic Party. That's according to Hunter Biden, the son, the insider.
Who also knows a lot of what was going on. You know, what I thought was interesting about her statement, she says, quote, "From what I experienced and observed in the White House, President Biden made all the important decisions. From what I did not observe, White House staff making key decisions and exercising power." So to me, Larry, this reads like, I didn't see it, but she would be the one to tell the staff, "Oh, you do that, you do that, you do that," then turn around and walk out the door, so that she could not be later at some time ever complicit or ever called on to say, someone could ever say that she's the one who actually was the one who pulled this. I mean, it's DC insiders, how they operate.
It sure is. And real fast, here's our buddy Joe Concha, friend of the program, talking about how the media seems to ignore the story. Here's, I don't know what cut number it is, but I'm sure you can do it.
Why was Aisha Hasni the only reporter there asking questions after Anita Dunn's testimony, right? Where were the reporters from the CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC?
Nowhere to be
found. It's truly amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's telling. It's one reporter asking her questions. Where was everybody?
Yeah, and it's not like there aren't any questions to ask. Concha continues here in Cut 11.
But the lengths that loyalists to Joe Biden will go to gaslight the American people and swearing that we witnessed with our eyes and ears of a sitting president being perfectly fine, they say. This despite him shaking hands with the air after speeches, not knowing how to get off stages, talking about conversations he had with dead world leaders, forgetting the names of his own cabinet members, spending a good chunk of his presidency on vacation. And yet, we keep hearing from all these Biden loyalists that he was as mentally sharp as, Bobby Fischer and had the physical prowess of Christian McCaffrey.
There you go. and yesterday, Anita Dunn on the Hill with no other news going on Capitol Hill. All the reporters, they got nothing else to do with their time. The people who cover Capitol Hill, just one showed up, Patrice. Just one to ask Anita Dunn, the unaccountable temporary employee. Remember how they were all crazy about Elon Musk having so much power, but he wasn't officially an employee and he was able to keep his investments and own Tesla and SpaceX, even though we had, but no curiosity about Anita Dunn.
And this is why the media. This is why the media's trust is in the toilet. It's worse than the members of Congress themselves.
And that's why, another reason why. Good job, Joe. Good job, Aisha, there at Fox News. You're right. And we'll continue to cover it. We still think it's kind of a big deal over here. It's 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Now, speaking of Elon Musk and the Doge effort, which still continues, by the way, still looking for ways to make the government more efficient. I know that Russ
Without
Vogt,
big balls,
the director
though.
of OMB, is heading that up, right?
I said without big balls, though.
Patrice, we're trying to.
I'm talking about the young man who just got. I'm talking about the young man who was just beaten in the streets of D.C.
I wish listeners knew the kind of profanity and vulgarity that I have to hear off the air.
Is that not his name?
Patrice Onwuka.
Is that not his name?
The constant sexual innuendos.
Oh my goodness!
Honestly, starting to become a hostile workplace. And now you heard a little bit of it slip out there on the air with her insistence on focusing on
Everybody
big balls.
knows. Everybody knows.
Uh-huh. Anyway, yes, the effort continues with Doge.
Yes.
And yes, our thoughts and prayers with Big Balls as he tries to get over this beat down that he had to endure in D.C. Actually, we've got an update on the D.C. crime issue and the federalization issue, thanks to the
I was
efforts of Big Balls.
doing a tease. Thank you, Larry.
Oh,
okay, you're welcome.
You're teasing the Big Balls. Is that what's happening?
About that ending grant abuse story.
Yes, here we go. So anyway, a lot of things that have been uncovered by the Doge effort and by the Musk team. We found out, oh my God, millions, tens of millions of dollars spent on this and spent on that and given to this group and given to that group for all these things, all the stuff from USAID. And, of course, a lot of people say, who approved that? Who allowed that to happen? Even members of Congress, even Democrats were saying, wait a second, we're paying for that. Who said that you could pay for that? Well, President Trump yesterday signed an executive order. Didn't get a lot of attention. I think that's why people come to this program, because we're able to shine some light on things that are underreported and make sense of it for you. An executive order that could, in fact, really reform the way the executive branch doles out all of this money. This executive order tightens the control of the federal grant funding process, and it requires only political appointees to be authorized to sign off on each grant. In other words, some bureaucrats, some long time, been working in as a career official, in the executive branch for 20 years, who's got lots of pals, who's like, sure, I'll get that grant. We'll quietly let it go through. They're not allowed to authorize these things anymore unless there's a signature of a person who is directly accountable to the president as a political appointee. The grant does not get funded. I think, Patrice, that could be huge.
I think it's huge. Now, person is going to be appointed per agency, which is really important so that they understand what the goals of the agency should be, what the mission of the agency, and what the administration wants the agency to be doing. And I'm just thinking about the NIH, where there were grants for blowing lizards off trees with leaf blowers. Can you help me understand why injecting dogs with cocaine should be funded and through a grant? So hopefully this appointee will say, you know what? Under the Trump administration, we are trying to focus on what's most important, like infectious diseases, not giving dogs a high or having fun with leaf blowers. And so I think this is a really good effort to bring transparency to how our grants are made, how our taxpayers' dollars are spent.
Transparency and accountability. It's like somebody's name and reputation is going to go on each one of these things. The executive order directs the agency head to designate a senior appointee who will be responsible for creating a process to review grant opportunity announcements and to assure any grants awarded are consistent with agency priorities and the national interest. In short, this is what the order reads. There is a strong need to strengthen oversight and coordination of and to streamline agency grant making to address these problems, prevent them from recurring, and ensure greater accountability for use of public funds more broadly. The government holds tax revenue in trust for the American people, and agencies should treat it accordingly. Again, something not getting a whole lot of attention, but this audience works and or interacts with the federal government on a regular basis, and you all know that this could be a game changer. It is 6:23.
All right, folks, did you feel the earthquake last night? Well, Greg Gutfeld was on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, and it was amazing. We're going to talk about that and more with Tim Graham of NewsBusters and the Media Research Center. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 6:30.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:37 now on a Friday morning, right here in your nation's capital, Washington, the District of Columbia, and the greater Washington metro area, the entire Commonwealth of Virginia, state of Maryland.
The DMV.
Into West Virginia as well, and nationwide, worldwide, actually across the universe via the World Wide Web. They don't say World Wide Web anymore, do they?
Well, maybe Al Gore said, no, I own that trademark, stop using it.
Perhaps. Coming up at 7:05, we're going to check in with Heritage Foundation Director of Center for Data Analysis. He's also their chief statistician, Kevin Diaratna. Find out if the data supports the EPA's move to declassify CO2 as a pollutant. 7:35, the great one, Mark Levin, big book signing tomorrow at the Reston Barnes & Noble. And then at 8:35, an update on that data center fight in Prince William County. The citizens of Prince William County have won in court. Janine Lawson will give us that update. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka.
Get down on it, Larry.
Are you getting down on it? I was going to ask, but I didn't want to.
I'm booking it just a little bit.
Right.
My arms are moving.
You know who else is boogieing? Tim Graham, executive editor at NewsBusters Media Research Center. Tim, one of your duties there is to monitor the late-night shows because they become more political than some of your primetime cable news shows lately.
Yeah, well, it's true, and especially when you do the counts, with Colbert being what he has become,
yes.
When CBS canceled and the left got so upset, it's like, well, here's why. Mm-hmm. It's like the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren show. That's why they're upset.
Well, and Jimmy Fallon, for a while there, was sort of trying to stride the middle ground. He, of course, inherited The Tonight Show from Jay Leno, who inherited it from Conan O'Brien, who inherited it from Jay Leno, who inherited it from Johnny Carson. But it's a long-time NBC News brand, NBC Entertainment brand. And I think that Jimmy Fallon's instincts were, hey, I'm here to make people laugh and feel good at the end of the day. But he was dragged into politics, too. But something happened yesterday. Take a listen to this, cut 13.
But then, so get this. So we're smoking and we're drinking. It's really weird. And then you go, hey, let's go to another bar. And so I go, okay, so we pile into the back of your car. It's a back seat. You got a driver. It's me, Andy, you, somebody else. I don't know. Who cares? Probably dead. We drive. But get this. The amazing thing about this is we drove, took a quick left, got out to another bar. It's the same building. We drove from one door to another door.
Yeah, but he had a nice ride, right?
Yeah.
Now, that, of course, was Greg Gutfeld, who was a guest on Jimmy Fallon's show. And I thought it was a brilliant move for him to start the entire segment telling a story about he and Jimmy Fallon getting drunk 15 years ago at a bar and then jumping into his car and going to another bar, which sort of, again, humanizes. You're not allowed to humanize a conservative on these shows, Tim Graham.
Well, yeah, I mean, people may remember that Donald Trump came on with Fallon, and Fallon messed with his hair to show that it was real.
Yeah.
And people got so upset. It was like Jimmy Fallon had tortured ducks. I mean, it was... So, yeah, the liberals, when they said that Gutfeld was coming on, this was exactly where they went. Jimmy Fallon treated Trump like a human. Now he's going to do the same with Gutfeld. Like they're aliens?
He's a comedian.
Well, he's a comedian. And, listen, I love the fact that Gutfeld owned the whole segment. The moment he started, he didn't wait for Fallon to introduce him. He just launched right in and owned the show in a way that Fallon actually couldn't even keep up. But, Tim, I think we've already reached the tipping point. I think we're already culture and pop culture now. Pop culture is catching up to where culture has moved, which is to get rid of all of the woke DEI, politically incorrect. You've got to stay away from anything right of center. Is this just another demonstration that we can see more of late night moving away from we hate Trump, we hate red, we hate pro-America to actually embracing regular folks again?
Well, as we said, I think that Fallon's different in that he's not trying to hold a Democrat precinct meeting. He's trying to make people laugh. Now, last night's show was like other shows. He has a bunch of Trump jokes in the monologue. But they're kind of, let's make a little fun. And it's not like a Stephen Colbert who treats him like Satan.
Yeah.
So, it's the right show for that. And, I think it just signals that, yes, that Fallon's trying to say that we're not going to treat half the country like they're evil. And, that's a good thing.
And, by the way, Tim, guess who else has a bunch of Trump jokes in his monologue? Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah.
He does it too. So I have a couple of questions on this because first of all, I think that this is so important. We're going to play in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll play more cuts from this appearance of Gutfeld. But that plus the Gina Carano settlement with Disney yesterday, which is huge. I feel like the culture is healing. I feel like the culture is swinging back, at least for the time being. Do you think, first of all, this was Fallon's idea and the team at The Tonight Show where Jimmy Fallon is sort of taking back the reins of his show and saying, no, we're going a different direction? Or do you think maybe Comcast Universal sort of leaned on him and said, guys, we gotta do better here? Where do you think this came from?
I'm guessing Fallon because they also have the Seth Meyers show on. And that's a horrible, Comrade Seth, more true. Bernie Sanders.
Yes,
but
that's true.
What's interesting is that Comcast has been one of the most DEI type of networks or companies. So I would be surprised Comcast let this happen.
Okay.
But it was so harmless. It was just, he was like any other guest making jokes about getting drunk. He came out, he hugs Jimmy and puts his legs up in the air backwards. It was crazy from the get-go. So
it was entertaining.
Yeah, what harm did that do?
All right. Well, setting aside what harm did it do, who benefited most from this? Do you think that this – because I looked at the replies on X from the Tonight Show account, and it was universal approval and excitement. I was expecting the left to be screaming at the Tonight Show. They weren't. I feel like a big chunk of that giant Fox News audience from the Five or from Gutfeld actually tuned in to the Tonight Show for the first time in years. Or do you think that Greg Gutfeld benefits most by being seen as a mainstream entertainment property?
I think it's both. I think the left hates the idea that it promoted Gutfeld, not just his show, but his game show on Fox Nation. It's they hated that. I think it's good just because, yes, Fallon showed he didn't, hate half of America. But, here's the interesting thing. I'm guessing that just as many people are going to watch this on YouTube or Peacock than they're going to watch it in real time. I'm never up at 12:12.
Well,
or
I'm
catch
not.
the clips later, on social media. Yeah.
Or hear them coming up in the 8 o'clock hour as we'll play more clips from this. Yeah, I think you're right. But honestly, I think, first of all, I think Gutfeld has sort of maxed out his Fox News audience. I guess it could get bigger. But ultimately, I think Fallon benefits the most from this. I think that people who have not watched The Tonight Show in years, who would like to have a late night show, and remember, Gutfeld, even though his show is considered a late night show, Patrice, it's on at 10 o'clock. It's not competing with the 11:30 late night shows.
No.
And so I can see a lot of people watching Jimmy Fallon last night for the first time in many, 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 many years, maybe even since Jay Leno. And they're going to come back. Watch for a raid. When Colbert got canceled, I said to people, one of these other guys is going to make a break. One of them is going to recognize the path and the opportunity to build their audience. It was Fallon. And Tim Graham, I keep an eye on it, but I think he's going to see a surge.
Well, this is the point where I try to tell people, I knew Greg Gutfeld when.
Yes.
National Journalism Center. Fall
There you
session,
go.
1987. I knew him then.
Young America's Foundation, National
Okay.
Journalism Center. He's one of our great alums. I'm on the board at NJC, as you know, Tim, and you're right. We all take ownership of him. Oh, to hell with that, Graham. Go ahead to YouTube, search Larry O'Connor, Tucker Carlson, Red Eye. It's a great episode of Red Eye with me and Tucker. We had a blast. All right, Tim, thanks, man. Great stuff.
Tim.
Sure.
It is 6:45.
Chris Plant here, inviting you to join us next July on our Mediterranean Listener Sea Cruise. Early booking sale pricing ends August 30th. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com.
As you know, Patrice Onwuka, Congress is out of session, but some Congress critters are still around town. Although I think this is Nancy Pelosi getting caught up in her district of San Francisco, but she was asked a very important question from a reporter from a California perspective. What are you doing to protect gender-affirming care here with some of the pauses we're seeing from the federal government? And, well, here's the answer. And I'm going to play it in full. And just let me tell you, this entire little 50-second segment can be reproduced all across the country in every congressional race, and just at the very end of it say, my name is insert Republican candidate here, and I approve this message, because this is a perfect ad for Republicans in Congress.
How is your office responding to the pauses in gender-affirming care here in California?
Well, that is something that I'm working for at the national level, and we have, how can I say, are hoping that we can have gender-affirming care for our trans kids. And that it's a sad thing for us.
There you go. She goes on to say, don't know what we can do nationally, but she just said we, the Democrats, will be pushing and fighting nationally at the national level. So we're hoping we can have gender-affirming care for our trans kids. That's genital mutilation. That's chemical
It is
castration.
lopping off breast and other body parts for kids who will one day wake up and realize they were going through a crazy moment in life and that they made a huge mistake that in some cases is irreversible. So, yeah, hold Democrats responsible and being on the record about protecting that kind of heinous stuff in society.
I think there should be a federal ban on this sort of thing. I don't think there's any medical necessity, and I think we should follow suit with, the United Kingdom, Scandinavia, Western European nations who have banned this. That said, short of that, if California wants to do that, if California wants to finance that, if they want to fund it, fine. But don't take tax dollars from Oklahomans, from North Dakotans, from Arkansans, and, by the way, from Virginians. Hey, now that we know that Nancy Pelosi stands for that, could anyone in the media ask Abigail Spanberger if she agrees with that position or not? That would be a lovely thing to find out before Virginia becomes Nancy Pelosi's California without the palm trees. It's 6:53.